everyone, welcome to my channel, Maple and Home. I'm Amanda. You are in the right place if you love all things home decor, lifestyle, DIYs, home projects. I do all of those things. Today, I'm going to be showing you the process of me painting the cabinets in our master bath. All of our cabinets when we moved into the house were original to the house. They are wood, which makes things a lot easier because they're a lot easier to work with and paint. They were an odd yellow color. And it's kind of hard to describe it because I wouldn't necessarily say it's like your typical light wood. I mean, it is a light wood, but the stain that they used was very yellow, or at least with the type of wood that they used, it ended up being very yellow. And I feel like that's an underestimate because they're very yellow, and you'll see it later on. They're just yellow. It didn't really go with the rest of the house, and it wasn't necessarily a wood color that I would have been thrilled about even if it did. It wasn't really browny, it wasn't really orangey, it was yellow. And our house, when we bought it, the previous owners had painted it this gray color, which is a very cool toned gray. It's light French gray from Sherwin-Williams, in case you're interested. And the yellow cabinets just do not go with this gray colored wall. Like when I'm talking about yellow, like there's this gold on this screen back here. It is maybe a lighter version of this. It was very gold and very yellow. So my husband and I made the decision that we wanted to paint all of our cabinets white. And we thought about having somebody come in and do it professionally. But when we looked at the prices for that, I just looked at it and I thought to myself, no way am I paying for that. So I looked at videos on YouTube when it finally got too much for me. I could not take another day of the yellow cabinets. It turns out the process really didn't seem that hard. I was very nervous when I started this whole journey, which actually started back in October of 2021. And it's like March. We have these cabinets in 3 rooms. We have it in the boys' bathroom, we have it in the master bath, and then we have it in the kitchen. And I started off last September or October with the cabinets in the boys' bathroom, and I was really nervous. I'd seen all these videos, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it because knowing me, I think something looks easy and then I try it and it's way harder than I expected. I went to our Sherwin-Williams paint store. I looked up all their colors. I talked with their employees, and it made it seem like this was definitely something I could do. But I decided to start with the boys' bathroom because I thought to myself, if it ends up being that it looks terrible, then I don't have to do anything else. And that's the smallest cabinet we've got. So it's a small project. I could do it during the school year when I was working, because I'm still working. I am going to be becoming a stay-at-home mom at the end of this school year, but right now I am still a music teacher. So it was something that I needed to, do while I was working. And it turned out really, really well, surprisingly well. It ended up being easier than I had thought. So that gave me the confidence to move on to the master bath. Now I had to wait until February to do it. Here in the Seattle metro area where we live, they have a week-long break in February, call it our midwinter break. And so I did it during that week and it ended up really good. And so you'll see the whole process, or at least portions of the process. There were some parts where my camera died. Here is the master bath. And after this, in the summer, I'm going to be tackling the kitchen, which is exciting and scary all at the same time. But the master bath turned out good, but you'll need to let me know in the comments what you guys think.
So the first thing you have to do when you're painting cabinets is you need to clean it off. I just used some Mrs. Meyer's multi-purpose cleaner because mine were not super dirty. This is a bathroom, not a kitchen, so there isn't a lot of grease on it. I also made sure to take the hardware off before I cleaned the doors and the drawers because a lot of grime gets underneath it and it was pretty gross. You'll also notice me writing some notes down on little pieces of paper. That is to let me know which hinge goes with which door and on which part of the door. And then I put the little note and the hinge and the screws that go with that hinge in a little Ziploc so I can keep track of it. If you want all your doors to fit back on properly, you have to make sure the hinges go back in the exact right place. Here's a tip for you. Make sure you're using a screwdriver that fits the screws. When I took off the first door that I have not shown in this video, I was using a screwdriver that was a little too small and it made it really difficult to get it out. And then I had to switch to a bigger screwdriver and it made things so much easier. So after I finished cleaning, I then started taping up the sides of our cabinet. And I have to tape here along the top of our countertop because we have this wood lip on the side and it does go up over the top a little bit. And so I needed to paint all of that as well. Once you've taped everything off, the next step is to sand. You don't have to sand it a ton. You're not trying to get down to the bare wood. You just need to sand it enough so that the primer and the paint has something to stick to. If you skip this step, your paint will flake off because no amount of curing is going to keep it on. Here I am taping up the drawers. Some drawers you can remove the face off to be able to skip the taping and just paint them. I think I can do that with mine, but I wanted to be safe rather than sorry. I wasn't sure what was going to happen if I unscrewed the facing off or if I was going to be able to put it back on. So I just decided to tape it. Here I am putting on the first coat, or the only coat really, of primer. It's important to put the primer on or your paint will not stick. The primer just preps that surface for the paint. Some paints do not need primer, like chalk paint, but because this is a bathroom and it's a very humid environment, I didn't want to use chalk paint because chalk paint is water-based, and I was very concerned that if I just used chalk paint, the paint job wouldn't last. So this is the next day when I am putting on the first coat of paint. I'm using a high gloss paint because the guys at the paint store told me that this is the easiest to clean. If you want something that's easy to clean, then you need to go with a gloss or a high gloss paint. And because I am a mother of boys, I definitely want to make sure all my cabinets are easily cleaned. I'm using the same technique that I did with the primer, which is to use a brush to get into the nooks and crannies in those corners, and then I go over the rest with the roller.
So before I finished the video, I wanted to point out something that I didn't know when I first painted these cabinets. And that is that we ended up having to change out the hardware. We originally were going to keep the hardware that was here because I didn't want to spend the money to get new hardware. But this particular old piece of hardware, whether it was the previous owners or the owners before them, we're the third people to own this home. They had a screw must have gotten lost that went with the original knob. And so when I put it back together, or tried to put it back together, I couldn't get the screw out to get it in. I looked everywhere to find the same knobs, because buying one versus buying completely new hardware for basically the entire house, because I wanted it all to match, I couldn't find what I needed. I couldn't find one that matched. I couldn't find it online. I don't know. I couldn't find it in store. I don't know if they were original kind of like factory hardware with the cabinets or not, but it is what it is, I guess. So we went with it's called Venetian bronze. So it's got that bronze with the copper tone, which matches our faucets that we have in our bathrooms that my dad changed out last time he was here.
This is it for today's video. If you are new here, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I come out with new videos every week. I have a bathroom clean and decorate with me planned for the future, so you can see how this bathroom looks in all its glory. I'll see you next time. Bye.